All right. Hey, what's going on, gentlemen? And maybe there's some ladies still that play this with us. Not sure off the top of my head, but if there are, thanks for taking the time to watch this video. This is your boy Turgon, the grumpy ass dwarf, coming at you with a new video. Hopefully, this will be a shorter one. I'm trying to keep this very focused because I tend to go off on long ranting tangents and I want to avoid that. So what I want to talk about in this video specifically is how I am conscripting units during season 5, Tactics Evolved. We're on server 54, getting our asses handed to us. 5 factions versus 2, Erebor, Rohan versus Variag, Rune, Mordor, Lothlorien, and Arnor. Super fair. Not going to get into that. But this is our situation. And what I want to show you is how I'm rotating my troops. We're 5 weeks into the season now. We're on week 5. We've completed 5 weeks of season. So we could have an ostensibly 5 more weeks of season if the season were to extend to the normal 10-week max. Maybe after Dol Guldur is taken and all the season objectives are completed, the season will end sooner. So the fastest I've seen a season complete is 8 weeks, and it was War of the Ring last season. So maybe there's something in effect that'll end this in 3 weeks, but it could go another 5 weeks. So what I do when I conscript is I try to keep it really simple. And look at that. I actually have a queue free right now. And so what's key here is, so you understand, what am I fighting with? I'm fighting with essentially 5 commanders total. 3 commanders have one style, and 2 commanders have a different style. Style A, I use Gil-galad, Dwalin, and Aragorn, and they fight predominantly with 1 unit, and the other 2 units in the army are 1 command of Guard of the Tower and Guardians. The Guardians and the Guards of the Tower have an ability called Shield Training, which increases the damage they take by 20% so that allies get their damage received by minus 20%. So they're taking 20% more damage so that their allies take 20% less damage, right? This effect cancels itself between the guards and guardians. So the guards of the tower give 20% less damage received to the guardians, and then the guardians remove that 20% through giving it to the guards. So it cancels out for them. But for the 3rd unit type, it gives them 40% damage reduction. It's huge. I see some people using one of these units and reducing the damage on the other 2 unit types by 20%, but I'm focusing all the damage reduction on 1 unit type. So I perpetually have these 3 units always getting conscripted in my barracks. On Dwalin, I do this with the Ram Riders, and they just finished conscripting. And I'll probably make more of them. Just looking around. The other one is Knights, because we're mostly fighting dark side, so the Knights are huge on Aragorn. On Aragorn, I've got the superior hauberk with the burn resistance, 40% burn damage resistance from the chest piece, and then the blinding barrier on the full helmet gives him 60% mitigation for focus, burn, and poison damage on Knights. So my Knights on Aragorn get 100% burn damage resistance, and then 60% focus and poison damage, on top of 40% overall damage mitigation from having the Guards of the Tower and the Guardians in the group. Now, people are asking, well, does that negative 40% damage reduction persist through the course of the battle after the units die? Yes, it does. those buffs get put into place during the preparation phase of battle, and they persist all throughout the battle, even after the guards of the tower and the guardians die. It's huge. So I'm always making knights, I'm always making heralds, heralds for Gilly, knights for Aragorn, and rams for Dwalin. I'm just gonna. I don't even care. Like I could probably get some more food through trading at the market, but I don't even care. I just want to get more rams on because time is of the essence here. Now my fourth queue rotates because my other two armies fight like this, and it's Haldir and Gandalf, and they use cataphracts to tank up front, and then sentinels for the damage in the back. And then I throw one command of a guardian or guards of the tower, whatever I have more of. I prefer the guards of the tower just because they're not quite as slow as the guardians, because the slowest unit in your army is what dictates the army's march speed. So I tend to use more of the guards of the tower for this purpose. So my fourth queue is rotating between, I'll make a bunch of guardians. You see, I have 2,000 guardians. Since I'm only using 100 guardians per fight, and then I just restock on another 100 guardians, that's basically 20 fights. This here is 18 fights. I can reinforce and fight 20 fights with guardians, 18 fights overall. So when I start getting below 1,000 troops, then I start thinking about that fourth queue rotating over to refresh this supply. Otherwise, as long as I have a fairly decent supply of guards of the tower and guardians, my fourth queue is going to be used either on cataphracts or on sentinels to refresh them. If I run out of cataphracts and sentinels and can't fight with Gandalf and Haldir, I don't sweat it. I don't care. They're not my primary warriors that's doing the bulk of my damage. They're extra, That's something where if I have the units to use and I can use them, it's giving the enemy a different look and something else they have to consider countering in battle. And they're so used to seeing my Gil-galad and Aragorn and Dwalin that they're just, when they see me coming, they're just prepping for that. So when I do use these, use Gandalf the Grey or Haldir, it usually surprises them. It catches them off guard, and they usually do pretty well unless I hit a mismatch. Like, for example, if Gandalf runs into like a Sauron, I usually don't do too good there. Or if Haldir runs into like a Witch King or Sauron, he usually doesn't do too good against them, but he does pretty good against some other stuff. He's pretty much a glass cannon. But I like him. I'm experimenting with him. I'm tinkering with him. I'm trying to find something I like with him. I like those 5 commanders. Those are my 5 commanders that I do basically everything with, and that's how I cycle all of my conscription queues so that I'm constantly able to fight pretty much perpetually. Because when I put my Gilly into battle, here's my configuration with Dwalin. 1 command of Guardian, 1 command of Guards of the Tower, and then the rest Rams. And the Rams are strong as heck because they're maxed out. And I also have this elite training skill on him so that they're mitigating even more damage on top of that. So by round 6 or maybe round 5, it's 30% damage received on War Rams on top of the 40% stacked from the Guards of the Tower and the Guardians. So after halfway through the battle, the War Rams, just from these buffs, are mitigating 70% of all incoming damage. Plus another any burn damage that's coming in, 20% on top of that. And when you look at Dwalin's gear, is he mitigating anything else? Another 60% focus damage is getting mitigated on top of that too. And he's resisting stun 83% of the time in the first 2 rounds. The Warhammer gives more defense to those dwarves. That's what I'm using to buff up the defense of my Ram Riders. And then this also is buffing the defense of my Ram Riders. So my Ram Riders defense is buffed, their base stat, by 33 points from these 2 pieces of gear. and it's all melee, so the speed is affecting them from the Drums of War. So I think in this current configuration of, in this current campaign of Tactics Evolved, my Dwalin is just about as good as I'm going to get him to be. Aside from leveling a little bit more, getting, putting more points into more of his skills, because I would love to max this out, and then maybe I could throw 2 points in here and a point in here so that he's removing a debuff. That probably will be helpful as well, especially early in the fight. So I might do that next instead of putting more points in collaboration here. I have to experiment to see what's better. For Gilgalad, just got another point for him. And we're going to do this. And Gilly's a beast, man. He is by far, in my opinion, the top commander on the light side in general, without having to spend an egregious amount of money. Galadriel is also, incredibly powerful, especially once you get her Reputation 10 unique item. I don't have it, and I don't have the money to spend for that, but I got Gilly, and his army, this is what I'm doing with him. Just a ton of heralds. Their defense is jacked up. Their attack is jacked up. Their HP is jacked up. It's hard to kill them. They counterattack. They've got the 40% damage mitigation from the Guardians and the Guards of the Tower. And then if you look at my Gilgalad and what he's got, burn, poison, focus damage, negative 15% from his chest. He's resisting stun and madness during the first 4 rounds 50% of the time. And then I'm buffing, attack. And I'm buffing attack and defense here. So everything is ultra focused for Gilgalad and Dwalin, and like I was showing you with Aragorn, everything is super focused. It's super defense oriented, so that I'm losing the least amount of troops per battle. In the cases of Dwalin and Aragorn, those commanders are doing the damage themselves. So keeping the units, the longer the units stay alive, the longer you can fight with those guys in battle. In the case of Gilgalad, the heralds are both the tank and the source of damage. And it's just super effective. I mean, I haven't found anything that Darkseid can throw against me that beats him with this configuration. Grima, Black Serpent, Witch King, Sauron, Lurtz, what else can Gorebag, anything. I haven't found anything that can straight up defeat my Gilgalad. And my Gilgalad usually is underleveled. Like I'll be facing a level 45, 48, 50 army, and my level 42, he just turned 43 from mocking, will draw and usually will kill and out damage the enemy by a significant amount. It's definitely worth investing in Gilgalad and investing in this build, because he is just mopping the floor with evil. And it doesn't matter if they're using orcs, urukai, trolls, evil men. I don't care. It doesn't matter what units they're using. Doesn't matter what commander they're using. I can just literally swing Gilgalad around like a giant sword and just cut through them. The only constraints that I have with him are stamina and heralds. As long as I have stamina and as long as I have heralds and these guards and the tower and guardians, I'm good to go. All right, I'm going to cut this video here. I hope that you found it helpful and insightful. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave below or shoot me a message on Discord or in game. Discord handle is capital MC $, not $, £, number sign, MC, number sign, 9699. Cheers. Hope you all stay well.